Okay, mom. What's going on?
Is that on?
Yeah.
Good dog. Y'all don't even know.
We're keeping this in the episode.
Yeah. This is an episode because honestly, the raw footage is the best footage.
Okay, guys, but why is this the longest week of life?
It's because of our kids. Let's be real. You know, summer break is coming and I am dreading, girl.
Look, I'm a teacher, love summer break, but as a mom, it's literally
You actually have to plan activities and you're just like, oh, I don't want to. Netflix be my activity.
Yeah, but also they're just gonna be home. I'm bored. What are we doing today? Where are you taking me?
Oh
what are
my
we
God.
eating?
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
The kitchen is like, it's open 24/7.
Oh my goodness.
Like one snack, two snack, three snack. I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do in the summer? I'm gonna teach them how to do chores properly.
Yo,
That's
for
what I'm
real.
gonna do.
Good for you.
Load your own damn dishwasher.
Yeah.
Put that tablet in there.
No, look, we're talking a big game now. Summer's gonna roll around. We're gonna be Masi Marasan in the kitchen, okay?
I'm gonna be laying on the couch, like the biggest couch. I'm gonna be like, go upstairs, play with your toys.
Yo, they get so bored of the toys too.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what
When
else
they come to me and they tell me I'm bored, I remember my childhood when I would go to my mom and say these things.
Yeah.
And now I'm so embarrassed because I'm like, I had so much shit to do and I was legit acting like I had nothing.
Yo, and like, okay, so listen, I had a crazy week, okay? Yeah. But I went to a few really fun things for work. Jazzy B came.
Oh, I know.
Yo.
Oh, I saw.
So there's this organization called Peel Elevate, and they're really good at just literally combining like dance and talent in the community. And so they had like a bunch of high schools come and they did a hip hop competition and a bhangra competition. Ooh. Amazing. It's top tier. Like these are the kinds of people you can hire at your wedding. You guys love professionals. That stuff. It was amazing. And then of course Jazzy B came.
I was like, she was telling me, and I was at home like. Is he gonna sing Dil Lutia?
No, he started with Dil Lutia. Okay, and I was there singing everything. I was like, oh my God, it was kind of embarrassing.
I bet the high schoolers are looking at you like, who is this girl?
I'm not gonna lie, they knew all the words.
Stop, are you serious?
They're like, I love it. I really have to say, I love artists where like your BB can appreciate the song and your like 12-year-old kid.
I love that too.
Because they were, even the aunties, okay? The moms, the grandmas, they were just like it. And he did such a good speech on stage. So he came on stage, he sang Dil Lutia, and then he kind of like paused and he would talk in between like Punjabi and English. There was like trustees and superintendents and stuff there. And he kept saying, he was like, you know, we need to hold our heritage with us. We need to make sure that we don't lose it. Don't lose the language. Yeah. You know, like just be who you are. And then he looked over at the parents and he's like, y'all need to stop pressuring your kids.
He
called them out so bad. He's
and
like,
all the parents are like looking down. Yeah,
he's like, "Tusi log na pressure bahut pande ho," whatever. I'm not even saying it correctly, but he's just saying that. He's like, you guys are putting too much pressure on the kids.
But it's true.
And he's like, you need to stop comparing.
That's the biggest thing ever, girl.
Okay, but for him to say it,
that's a big thing.
Maybe it'll actually land on some of the parents. You know what I mean? And then he looked at the kids and he was like, y'all always remember to respect your parents.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's
like
a two-way street. We've talked about this.
Yeah, and he's like, I remember when I was younger, whatever, I'd look at my mom and be like, you don't know nothing. You don't know anything. And he's like, in retrospect, they were literally guiding me to do the good stuff.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
You know, when you're a kid and you want to rebel or...
It's all about balance, though. We're going to get into that, though, girl. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
This is my segue in. But before we do...
Guys, welcome to the episode.
Welcome. We are so happy you are here. Thank you for listening to us on your AirPods, on your headphones, while you're washing the dishes, while you're watching... I don't know. Are you watching us on
Bridgerton?
YouTube?
Or I thought while they're watching Bridgerton, they could also be watching us on the side.
Yo.
Double that.
Double the entertainment. Okay, you have some next ADHD if you're doing that. Because why can't you focus on one screen?
I am 100% a multitasking individual, okay? I am.
I need to see you. Okay, can you paint a picture of your evening on the couch?
You're going to laugh your head off.
Tell me, go.
This is my evening on the couch. The TV is on, okay? The laptop is in my lap. I'm lounging on the sofa and I lay down on the sofa with the laptop in my lap, okay? But then the laptop is there and then the phone is also in my hand. I'm not even joking. And it's like 5 minutes phone, 5 minutes laptop, 5 minutes screen, 5 minutes phone, laptop, screen. That's how we're rolling here, okay?
You know that little dog in Up?
Yeah.
You know when anytime he'd be talking, he'd be like, squirrel. That's Hina.
Swear to God, that's me.
That's Hina. Squirrel.
100% that's me. That's me. But I'm going to tell you something. I perfected it. And I have to say that I am very good at multitasking. That was the number one thing I put on my resume.
I was gonna say, listen, just add that to your resume under skills.
Girl, you don't even
skills
know.
you carry.
You don't even know. Okay, I'll own it.
Okay, but I think all moms are multitaskers.
I think so too.
Aside from screen time,
We get so good. We get so good at
we
it.
can do everything within 30 seconds.
100%. There's no
Like
doubt.
clean the table and wash the dish with one hand and wipe the jharu with your foot.
Slap your
And
kid with one hand and shove food in their mouth with the other.
yo, use your elbow to make your chai. We got this. We got this.
Oh yeah. On that note, guys, please subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe to our channel because I totally forgot.
Yo. While you're making your chai right now, pause the episode. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us those 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and follow us there. There's a little notification bell, so every time we release the episode, you will be notified on your phone, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Right, girl.
All right. You're going to lead us today in this first part.
Guys, I got a new segment.
She got a new segment, and I'm very excited to join.
It's nothing uncommon. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. I play this game a lot with like high school kids and stuff as an icebreaker. But we're gonna add our okay mom twist to it. Of course.
I'm ready.
This is what we're gonna do. We have a new segment. This segment is called Ye ya Wo.
This or that.
This or that.
Ye ya wo.
I have a bunch of. Do you have a few as well?
I do have a few, yes.
Okay, so we have a bunch of things that are listed, and I'm gonna ask Hina, and I will also chime in into what I am.
Done.
Okay, and then we will get to know हमें ये पसंद है या वो पसंद है. Okay?
I'm definitely a wo.
You're John Booch ke wo, okay? Just
Gotta be different.
she gonna be like मैंने वो करना है.
That's so true.
I love it. Don't follow the herd, okay?
I never do.
That's right.
I never do.
That's right. Okay.
Go for it.
While you are driving, do you have a heavy foot on the pedal or do you drive like a dadi?
I feel like I'm in between. I don't know if I'm a ye. I don't know if I'm a wo. It really depends on the situation and the mood.
You're a bitch.
Beach bitch.
Beach bitch. That's what you know.
That's what I am. Like sometimes, not gonna lie, I may drive like a dadi. Not gonna lie, okay? Because there is times when people, it's always those damn pickup drivers, yo.
Oh.
They be passing me with like that, and I'm just like, why you gotta be in a rush every day? It's always the pickup. It's always the pickup drivers, honestly.
Back to your country.
It's those ones, okay? It's those ones. So some days it's like that, but then if my mood is like I'm feeling kind of fiery, you know, then I'm like a yay. Then I'm like a wo, you know. Then I'm a wo.
Yo, I have a heavy pedal.
I could see that.
Heavy foot on my pedal.
You're
I just like to drive that way, and when people are driving slow,
you would be
upset.
You would be so triggered by me.
Yeah, and sometimes when my kids are in the back, and like I'm trying to be nice, I'll be like, "Let's go, friend. Let's go, friend. Let's go, my friend."
But what about when they're not? When they're not in the back?
Move.
You guys, if I ever experience this road rage, I promise I'll record it and share it on the podcast, okay?
But you know what else I noticed? I don't get angry that often. I just like to swerve around and like have fun on the road.
She's like this.
The Fast and Furious mama.
She's like, you know, in Pakistan when everything is like indicator. She's one of those. Like, yo, first time I went to Pakistan, I experienced that. I'm like, what is this?
Okay, somebody clarify this for me. Why do we honk so much in Pakistan?
Why? Is it the same in
are
like
we just telling everybody we're here?
No, you know what it is? I think what it is they that is literally how they tell people, right? Like that's what they use the horn for. Maybe we're doing it wrong in Canada. We're doing it wrong in Canada. We're too damn polite.
We are.
We are. In Pakistan, it's like, move, get out the way. Okay? Get out the way, get out the way. Or it's like you're behind someone, it's like, tick, 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 indicator, tick, 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 and then you're like, move out of the way, blinker, blinker, blinker. So they get the message.
Yeah, you want to know something so funny?
Yeah,
okay, guys.
Listen.
One time somebody told me, you want to know how we know you're not from Pakistan? I'm like, sure, what's up? They're like, because you reach over and put your seatbelt on.
Because over there there's a motorcycle with like 12 people sitting on it. Like literally, one is hanging off the handlebars, the other's hanging off
Guys,
the
legit, every time I say it, I reach over and I put the seatbelt. I'm like,
I do
like,
too, man.
It like literally low-key they're embarrassed. They're like,
Yeah, but it's also because yahan pe we get a damn ticket for it, okay? And the ticket is hefty. Over there, it's like, what seatbelt?
Okay, also, but the cars here, the tan doesn't stop if you don't put your seatbelt on.
But the tan doesn't stop in the car either. Yeah, the car
yells
put
at
your
me.
damn seatbelt on. Ma'am, excuse me, driver saiba, aapne apni seatbelt nahi pehni. Please, aap pehn lein.
Aapki safety ke liye, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the other thing is...
I was gonna say safety.
Or just like a true Desi heart. True. Okay. Like,
Sometimes it comes out. Ooh.
but you know what it is? Over here in Canada, like, hum zarurat se zyada hi polite.
Hum bahut zyada hai. Over.
It's too much.
Over.
Okay. It's like, if I honk, then they might get angry. So just do one of these. Like,
I
just
feel
do
like
one of
somebody needs to nick you in the car for somebody to actually honk here.
Yeah, but then sometimes, you know, when you actually go full throttle and like, then the guilt that you feel after for doing that, it's like, why did I do that, yo? I feel so bad. Why did I do that? I should have been nicer.
Guys, totally. I'm just going to say it because everybody who is listening and watching us right now, we know we don't say beep and we're saying dang. We get it, okay? You're here for it. Just tell me you're here for it.
Just roll with it. Just roll with it. Sorry. Beep beep is not, it doesn't have the same energy, okay? Like, dang is like angry, you know? Beep is like, oh, I'll be polite.
We're not being polite anymore.
Okay, speaking of Gadiyan and the way you drive, girl.
Okay.
This one I dedicate to you. Amplifier or Bewafa?
Bewafa.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you would say amplifier.
So here's the thing. I love the song Amplifier.
Yeah.
Okay? But Bewafa like pulls on my heartstrings.
Rovengi mainu
याद करके रोवेंगी मैनू याद
Oh my God,
करके.
honestly, that man needs to release some new songs.
Seriously.
They were bangers. Where's the
Amazing.
new ones? We're waiting.
What's the new song that came out that's like his, like not, it's, people classify it as the same song as when he released Bewafa. What is it called?
I have no idea.
Koi Si.
Oh, I love that song.
Koi Si.
Oh my God, I
Koi Si.
love that song.
Yeah.
It's such a good song.
It is. So I feel like that is like the equivalent of Bewafa.
No, but his voice is so, it's so different.
I know.
Like that's a girl singing
so
it.
much heartache in
Yeah.
that song. The way he just,
Bewafa is like, who was this Bewafa?
who was it?
was she?
किसने किया?
Snake. Cute.
क्यों किया? धोखा दिया मुझे. All right.
Okay.
Again, back to cars. This is kind of fun though. Okay. Windows roll down in the summer or AC?
I'm an AC girl, but I also love windows rolled.
Okay,
down.
okay,
Like
okay,
if I'm
okay.
going on a nice drive, I like windows rolled down because as much as I try to pretend like I'm not a loud music listener, I am a very loud music listener. Guys. Remember the episode where I was like, total red flag, Punjabi music, loud, but that was for men. It's different when I do it.
Exceptions. She's the exception.
Exception.
Guys, you heard it first here. You heard it first here on Okay Mom
You know,
Podcast.
it's not, but you want to know something? If I'm
Hina
at
is
a red,
one
if
of
I'm
those.
at a red light, okay, and my windows are rolled down, I do get a little bit like, okay, roll your windows up. Hina.
Girl, I crank it louder.
Oh yeah.
I'll look over at the neighboring car and be like, yo, you like it? yo, you like
Like
it?
I'm not like that. I would be like, okay, have some. Come on, shut up. Thodi si to sharam honi chahiye. And then I'm like rolling it up. I'm like doing this. I can just press a button.
Okay, again, we're telling our age. You see this thing? A lot of y'all don't know this.
Yeah, you guys live a privileged life here with your automatic buttons.
You
Jeez.
guys even have the cars where like you can just touch the door handles on your car unlocks.
What?
We were out here like choppy डाल के ना मरोड़ के खोल रहे
Even
थे.
for the diggy, like you know, the job in. There was no button.
There was no button.
Yeah.
There was
yeah.
like
life
you
was
had to-
hard for us. Life was hard. Okay. All right. My turn. Ye ya wo. Canada ya Canada. I'ma say it. I feel like Canada sounds better.
Canada does sound better.
It has a better ring to it. They need to change the way it's said. Let's
Okay.
go from Canada to Canada.
Okay, I'm gonna say that I'm the in between. Maybe
You?
okay. You know why? Because sometimes when you're telling a story in like Punjabi and Urdu, you have to say Canada. Okay, but then sometimes when you're talking in English and you're like, somebody's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And you're like,
Canada.
"I'm from Canada."
Yeah. The thing is, it would be normalized if we made it
The good
normal.
thing we're talking about some academy.
No, but like if we made it normal, if it was called Canada from the beginning, right? We could Englishify Canada to Canada.
Yo,
We could.
Canada.
If we really wanted to.
We're from Canada.
Let's take a little bit of the good in our way of speaking and apply it to the name, because I love the way it rolls out.
Chalo theek hai, let's do
Canada.
it. Guys, we're doing
Canada.
it here. All you guys who are following us right
It's
now.
not Canada. We're from Canada. Get it
Canada,
right.
okay?
Okay.
Okay, this or that. Extremely hot chai, or you have to wait till it's lukewarm?
Not lukewarm, but like in the middle of extremely hot.
Oh, okay.
Like hot, but not extremely hot that my tongue is going to burn.
Oh, okay.
Because then my tongue is going to burn. I wouldn't taste the flavor.
I need it to be super hot.
Are you kidding me?
Like crazy. It's like
when
it's
you
not
touch
healthy.
it, when you touch it, you're like that?
Yeah. But I don't do that because I'm so used to it. That's how I drink my chai. Or even coffee. Like there were times where I would make a fresh cup of coffee and then I feel like I have to put it in the microwave because it's not on enough.
Do you even have taste buds on your tongue? Or are they burned off?
Yeah, they're probably burnt off now. And when I go to like coffee shops, I'll ask them like, did you brew this fresh? Like I'm one of those.
I'm not going to lie to you guys.
I'm one of those.
This girl right here, biggest coffee snob I've ever met in my life. Mujhe kuch nahi pata coffee ka. I know nothing. Okay. This one, I walk into her house, I'm like, okay, we got the bougie coffee machine happening.
So I also took her to Matari for the first time.
Yeah, and
okay, she's never been. And I was like, listen, don't even look at the menu.
No, I
we're
went
getting
once
this
before, but I didn't try anything. I've been once before.
Okay, so I told her, I was like, we're getting this.
Yeah.
Don't even look at the menu, okay? I don't want no ifs, ands, or buts from here, okay?
She did say this.
We order it. It's so good.
It is so...
And it was just bitter for her because she likes her stuff sweet.
Yeah, if it had sugar in it, I think I would have liked it.
Yeah, because it's like, oh my God, but guys, it's so good. Matari sponsored this episode.
See?
I'm madly in love with Matari.
Matari, please. Iske liye, come on.
बाकी सारी चीजें हमने boycott कर ली है, but आखिरी रह गया है.
Thanks.
All right, what's your next one?
This or that, kulfi or faluda?
Kulfi.
Really? I'm a faluda girl. But like a kulfi faluda girl.
Oh, your kulfi is faluda.
That's what I'm saying. With the jelly too.
Yo,
It has the jelly in it.
Yeah. Okay. If I have faluda with all of that.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick with a plain faluda and kulfi,
No.
Kulfi.
Plain faluda I'm not about.
Yeah.
And I would pick kulfi too. But like the kulfi in the faluda with the jelly.
Top tier.
Yo, that is something else.
So there's just something about kulfi that's literally like a way to my heart.
It's the best ice cream I've ever had in my life.
So good.
It beats every ice cream out there.
I will even have the flavors.
Yeah.
Like pistachio kulfi. Pista,
Mango.
badam kulfi.
So good. So good. I think kulfi in general, it's just the flavor of it. It's
so good.
It's delicious. It's delicious.
Oatmeal cookies with raisins or chocolate chips.
Hell no. Kishmish, I am not a fan. Throw the kish and the mish out, okay? Not a fan. Not a fan. Chocolate chips, we got you. Oatmeal chocolate chip, I'll do it. Kishmish in anything.
Yo.
You know when they put kishmish in the savion, like it makes me so mad because it's like, here I am eating my savion, and then all of a sudden I get this glob of freaking slimy kishmish in my mouth.
I
can't.
I have trust issues because of these damn raisins.
You put the damn kishmish in cake. It's like, why you gotta ruin my cake?
You know what?
Carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Okay. When I see raisins in carrot cake, I actually get angry.
Like, bro, we're trying to eat a vegetable here. I'm trying to get my vegetable intake. You throwing in a raisin? We didn't ask for
if
that.
you have the best cream cheese frosting, but the cake has raisins, you ruined the whole thing.
I swear to God, all of my friends know this about me. I love carrot cakes. One of the best cakes out there. Okay?
I didn't know.
Roll into a bakery, and the first question I'll ask you is, does that carrot cake have raisins? And if so, good day to you, ma'am. Cut that shit out of there. Gishmish is like, I'll give gishmish to my child. Like, here's your snack. Here's a gishmish. You know, like they can have, I don't know what the purpose of a gishmish is.
Okay, do you like kajur?
I do like kajur, but I'm not overly crazy about it.
So I don't like kajur.
I'm not like, it is what it is.
But like,
but real talk, do you like chware? The ones that you get inside like your bid and stuff?
Oh no,
hell no. That thing is like eating a board.
Okay, I'm gonna say it on this podcast right now. Can we please step up the bid game? I'm sick and tired. I am sick and tired of those almonds. You know those candy covered almonds?
Kishmish. Yeah.
The kishmish.
Jordan almonds, yeah.
One little Werther's.
But the makhani are so good.
But makhani
are so, and the mystery and the makhani, we'll leave. We'll leave.
Fine.
A few nuts is allowed. The chawada, throw that.
No, we
throw
can't.
the chawada out. Nobody eats it.
Guys,
Nobody eats it.
I have yet to go to a nikah where the bid is like top tier. Somebody change my mind.
Change my mind.
go.
Change my mind.
I want some Ferrero. I want some Lind.
So you just want chocolate. You don't even want the Makane.
No, even Makani and stuff are fine, but just put good stuff in. Yo, those candy covered badam piss me off.
I actually don't mind candy covered badam. What I do mind is chwade, which I've spoken about many times. Sometimes they put the damn kishmish in there too. Like, this is my point.
I think we're gonna spend the whole episode just saying chwade and kishmish.
Kishmish?
Please enjoy this.
Kishmish needs to just...
All our audio listeners.
Honestly, if you like kishmish, I'm gonna give you all my kishmish too, because I cannot.
Yo, it was the worst thing in a Halloween candy bag.
A kishmish?
No, the raisins. You like?
I thought someone sprinkled like...
Imagine.
I'm like, what type of BS?
No, when I would open it up, low-key, I think it's a Kit Kat because the box was red, right? Those raisin boxes, and then I'd move a little bit of it. I see that little lady, and they're like, "What's this shit?" That little pioneer woman
with her body.
I'm like, get this out of here! Don't give me no raisins.
They're probably like, we're trying to keep you healthy, honey. Like, I don't want to be healthy.
Gore pakode need to keep the raisins to themselves. I don't want them. I don't want them.
Oh my god, it's okay. It's like the Desi's giving out those like Zeta biscuits for like Halloween.
Okay, but you want to know something super funny? We went trick or treating. Yeah. No, we went trick or treating one time, and one of these like houses in the neighborhood, they gave us Mr. Noodle packs.
Yo, live it up, ramen life.
At that time, we were like not about that ramen life. Okay, so I was like, "What is this? I don't even want to eat this." Okay,
the worst thing I've gone is like one wafer cookie.
What?
What? It was a straw. You know those wafer cookies?
Yeah. Like, wait. Did somebody open the packet and give?
I remember her. Okay, I remember till this day, and I was such a bitch shut that like, okay, I didn't really say anything. I was just like, oh my god, like I don't want this wafer cookie, because you know when you're kids, you have no filter. Okay. Meanwhile, I think it was my brother that was like, ew, what's this? And I'm like, oh my god. Like,
but wait, did she put it in your bag?
She actually took it out of the tray and like, wow. And I was just like, Halloween is over.
Yo,
get your ass home. It's too late, obviously. You know what
some
I'm
people
saying?
used to give us like Coke cans. Do they still do that?
Yeah, but that was once someone gave me money. I swear to God.
What neighborhood did you?
He's like, oh, I ran out of candy, but here's like $5. He gave me $5.
But was he like laundering or something? Like,
I don't think so. He was an old man, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but that whole be like that. Like,
guess it? Instead of washing it,
I don't know.
Give it to kids on Halloween.
I was like, you got some more of that? I got siblings too.
Can you pay me for the next 6 Halloweens? I need to buy some Guess shoes.
The rhinestone t-shirts. Okay. Lenga or sharara?
Sharara.
I feel like I'm a lenga.
Yeah. You know why? I think I'm taller.
Yeah.
So shararas look nice on me.
I feel like they would look really good on you.
Sometimes I've gotten leggings where the height hasn't been right. So either I feel like they're a bit hitched, because the thing is I don't wear heels. So if the lenga doesn't fit where it needs to, then it doesn't look good.
I feel you.
Then it looks like I'm either barefoot or like I am actually wearing heels when I'm not.
Yeah, I feel you. But honestly, both are so
beautiful. But both are so good.
Like, give me a reason to wear one, guys.
Oh my God, for real.
Somebody get married and invite us.
Yo, oh my God, guys, we'll MC your wedding. And it'll be so funny.
Oh my God, we would just be up there for all. And then people would be like, who? Get these girls off.
Yo, the auntie would be like, ye kya kishmish lagayi?
Like, is this a comedy show or is this a shadi?
Are you an early riser or a night owl?
Honestly, I'm actually both.
What?
I'm 100% a night owl, 1,000,000%. I'll go to sleep at like midnight. I used to go to sleep at like 1, 2 a.m. But at that time, I was not an early riser. But now, because I have kids, I wake up at like 6:30 a.m. every morning. Yeah. That to me is early. You're probably awake at 5.
Yeah, I am.
Right? But then I still go to sleep at like midnight.
But like, how do you catch up on your sleep? Or you're just okay with the 6 hours?
I'm just okay with it.
Okay.
Like, I'm okay with it. And it kind of sucks. Like, it kind of sucks sometimes because you're exhausted. But I also feel like that's just, the reason I can't go to sleep at night is because that's like my time. I put my kids down to sleep and it's like, ab maine ash karna hai. Koi mere saath
don't look at me. Ash karo, mitro.
Don't look at me. Don't breathe near me. Like, don't even make a sound. Like, I don't want to hear anything. I want it to be quiet and I want to just focus and like do what I want to do.
For real.
What about you?
I am definitely an early riser.
I feel like you are too.
And I go to bed early.
Yeah.
Because for me, if I don't get the sleep that I need, then I literally cannot function the next day.
Which is actually a good thing to get the sleep you need.
Yeah, because and I think maybe it's because my me time is also sleeping.
Okay.
That's what it is. Because like I don't nap. I'm not like that. And because I just know that my days get so hectic, I will, rather than like being on my phone for half an hour or whatever, like I will take that extra half an hour and go to bed early, because that to me is also self-care.
That is self-care though.
Right?
It's important. You know, as you get older, you also realize how important it is to get that 9 hours of sleep.
Honestly,
it really does make a big difference.
And the thing is, even now, even though my youngest is 2, like there are still nights where the sleep is interrupted because like somebody had a night terror or somebody like, something happened or whatever. They just honestly always they've been waking up here and there every 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever. So I think that's why I prefer getting the sleep beforehand.
Okay. All right. So guys, let's get into the episode. Okay. So today we're going to talk about something that everyone has gone through. I would say the vast majority of us. Okay. Yep. And what we're going to talk about is how it has been being raised up in a Desi family, what the dynamic's been like, how it has felt for us as the children of immigrants, right? To have been raised up in that specific family dynamic. So let's set the scene here. Okay. Let's set the scene. We have a mom and a dad, or a mom or a dad. They've traveled from their homeland to one of like Canada, America, England, a first world country, okay, a Western nation, okay? They've come here, they don't know anything. They've had a bunch of kids, and they are trying to not only figure out how to be parents, they're also trying to figure out how to navigate this new world, how to make something for themselves. But now these kids are in school, and now these kids don't have the same values and thoughts and beliefs that they have. So a lot of the times I can say that I feel like a lot of things that were said and boundaries that were set were done through fear tactics, where it was like, if you don't listen to us, then this is going to happen. Right. A lot of us have grown up in that feeling of we have to always walk the straight line or else we are bad kids. So it's either you're good or bad, black and white. There's really no in between in there. And explaining this to your parents when you were younger was really, really hard. So how was your experience, and what are some of the struggles that you went through in your teenage years? Because I think those are the crux years where you feel like you're noticing this huge shift in, it's like a power struggle, but it's also really hard to communicate with these parents because they don't know how to understand where you are and where you're coming from.
Right.
So what has your experience been?
Honestly, like there was a lot of struggles growing up, I would say, like just being a children of immigrants. I felt like there were a lot of things that my parents didn't really want to understand. For example, like my taste in music, something so simple. So simple. Right. And because I've always been into like rap, hip hop, R&B. That's just kind of been my vibe. And like anytime I would want to listen to it, it would be like an argument in the house, or like I would have to like shy away from or change the like radio stations or whatever. Hide the fact that this is the kind of music I listen to. In retrospect, to me, I'm just like, I wish I didn't have to do that. But for them, they'd be like, oh, the music is gonna influence your behavior. Right? Or what they're saying is not things that we align with. But for me, I wasn't taking it in as something like that I'm learning from that. It was more of like entertainment and what I'd like to listen to.
And also the vibes and the beat.
Right? I'm not listening to music to learn a lesson from it. Right? I'm listening to music because I enjoy it. But I guess for them, and like to each their own, I guess obviously they didn't even understand what they were saying, what the language was, what like terms people were using, music or whatever. So even that's just a little example, right? Another thing that I just struggled with a lot was I remember there was this one time in high school where like I had my hair out. And I got in trouble.
For having your hair out.
Yeah, because it was like, you shouldn't go to school with your hair out. You should have your hair tied. And I think I just, like, obviously me remembering it now, it's like, it's stayed with me. But I just never understand. Like, it's not just that it was outside, you're not allowed to do it. Even in the home, it would be like, no. Like, balni bakerne. You're going to fall everywhere. Have your hair tied. And now, like, unless I am actually like at work or like recording or something, generally speaking, my hair is tied all the time. So I feel like it dictates a lot of little movements in my life from what I had to hear from when I was younger. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think that there was this lack of understanding and a huge lack of communication. And I think we are definitely a lot more emotionally mature. I think Sarah, when we had her POC therapist, also said that this generation is a lot more emotionally mature than the generation before us. So there's always going to be that disparity there. But it was also hard because when you tried to have the conversation or you tried to ask a question to understand why, such as like the hair thing or the music thing, the answer was, well, we just said so. And I also think both of us want to preface and say this is not us saying that like we're trying to be disrespectful to that generation. We've said numerous times the things they've done, the struggles that they've gone through are things that we could never do. We have so much admiration for their strength and resilience, but on the other side, we also have to acknowledge that we have also, as a generation, gone through a lot of trauma.
Oh yeah.
It's been very hard for us as well. And I think it's important for us to touch on that. The other thing I was going to say is the music thing is true. Like the way we dress, I think that was a big thing too, where like we've also talked about how we wore shalwar kameez, right? And I think that was like, for me, the first part of my life where I felt like, this is different. Like, why do I not fit in? And then you have this like impulse to want to fit in. So you're like, what? I just want to fit in. I want to fit in. But then if you told your parents that, they were kind of like, no. If you start dressing that way, then you're going to go so far off the deep end that you're going to be walking around in these halters. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying this because I want to be a nungi. I just want to wear a sweatshirt and jeans.
Just take me to Zelda's.
You know what I'm saying? But I understand their perspective because they're coming from, countries that are like, majority of the times they used to wear like shalwar kameez, right? That's just a cultural outfit.
That was also their school uniforms.
Exactly. And I think that they were just raised in such a completely different environment and they were not able to be there. The other thing I was going to say is that like, we talked about this and I brought this up with you that like, because there were so many of these rules that were in place, it actually made a lot of Desi kids great liars. Like it really did, girl.
I think Himani said this too, no?
I think she did talk about
when
this.
we had her on the episode. Honestly, it's because you had to feel like you couldn't tell anybody the truth. So you would say anything. Anything to make it so that nobody actually knew, quote unquote, what you were doing.
Exactly.
But what was the need?
What was the need? Like sometimes I think back and I'm like, what was I even lying about? Like,
sometimes you would just, it became like a habit.
It became a habit, but it was also because there was not a lot of freedom that was given.
Right.
Okay. It was a very strict environment, which again, I understand why they might have done that, but I feel like it made us these like really overly protected children that never got to experience things, which sucked because first of all, we lied to get those experiences, right? But then second of all, once you are actually out into the real world, you actually don't feel like you have what it takes to be there. Because you've been so sheltered your whole life. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was really, really hard going through that as well, because when you do, let's say your first like taste of like freedom per se is like university college, even picking like courses for university, these things, right? It was so hard because those were things that not all parents even knew how to help us with. They didn't know how to help us pick courses. They didn't know how to help us apply to universities. That was stuff that as an older sibling, and this is where like the older sibling trauma would come in. As older siblings, they kind of had to find a way to do it. And then teach the younger siblings. Right? And the parents just kind of took a step back. So you feel very, I guess, like you feel like you've taken on a role that you didn't even sign up for as a parent.
And the thing is, so like my sister and I never got homework help. We just kind of like, now that I look back, I don't know how I ever did homework, right? Because I would just do it. Like, I don't know. And I remember the next morning, like I'd go back to school being like, I don't know if I did this right, but like I did what I could. Right. And like it would be more of like an A for effort type thing. And then I remember when my brothers were in school, like I took on that role. Where I was like, okay, come sit down. What do you guys have? Check their agendas, because we had to take on that role. I didn't sign up for it. Right. But you end up just naturally falling in that role because if my brothers didn't understand something, my mom would be like, go ask Uruje Baji. Go ask Fidra Baji. Right. So like that's how it ended up.
That is how it ended up. But I do sometimes feel like it's really unfair. And I know, like, I don't think I hold it against them. Like, even when I look at my upbringing, I had a very strict upbringing, right? But I can't sit back here and be like, oh, it's all their fault, because you know, even when we talked to Sarah, like bringing that episode up again, because she touched on something very important, that we also acknowledge that they just didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So they did the best they could. And I'm talking about our situation. Of course, there's situations that are completely different and those are very toxic. But in our situation, I don't blame them, because I feel like they did the best they could. In turn, we are trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
Right. But it falls different for us now growing into those adult years, because I think when you're in the younger years and you make certain decisions like who you're going to marry and all those big life decisions, you still had to consider what your parents said.
And you know what it was?
Yeah.
I felt like when it was time, I was never equipped to understand who or what qualities I'm looking for in a partner.
That's the thing, girl.
Because nobody ever talked about it. Because like, of course, you can't have a boyfriend, you can't go and date, you can't whatever. So nobody ever said, hey, listen, when you do decide to get married, or if you are looking for a life partner, make sure that they have X, Y, and Z qualities.
Absolutely.
Right? Or if you can just like, because it didn't have to be, I think this is where this is my struggle with it, because it was so black and white. It was either a yes or a no. Okay. And the no's were such hard no's.
Yeah.
I wish that it was a little bit of a balance, so that you could have an open conversation with your mom or your dad, just being like, hey, like, you know, I'm going to be done school in a year or two. Maybe this is the time that, like, should I be looking? Will you be looking? Maybe we can talk about mutually.
Yeah.
What are you looking for who I should be marrying? And maybe respect also what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
That way you don't feel like like we know a lot of people have messages too, where you kind of feel like you just gave in and married the first person that came around.
It was
because you felt like your parents were really like, this is good, and they had the best interest for you, which they do. I'm not saying that they don't. Yeah. But sometimes what their interest is might not be what you're looking for in a life partner.
Yeah.
Right? And I think these are the things that we're missing, because there was such hard no's and hard yeses. The in-between was never there. And so when it came to like picking a life partner, picking what school you want to go to, what career you wanted, what did you want to study, where did you like, what car to drive, I don't know, like little things, you didn't have that guidance.
You didn't have the guidance. And I also think it falls into that mentality of people pleasing, which is so heavy in our community and culture. It weighs so heavy on you that your entire life is all about pleasing people. And the truth is, our parents' life was about pleasing people too, right? The difference with their generation and ours is their generation was not a why generation that would be like, but why? But why? And we are a generation that are like, but why? Make this make sense. We want it to make sense in order for us to do it. Yeah. So like if we were, for example, going into university and picking a course, if you did want to do something that was maybe outside of the realm of what your parents thought was successful, you were not always allowed to do it. And if you did do it, you were put through so much guilt and emotional blackmail. Like, why would you do this? This is not a good career for you. But no one understands your passion with certain things, right? Like if you did pursue something that was passionate to you, then it was like, what? And let's say you didn't do well at it, then it's like your whole life you're going to have to hear that like, oh, well, we told you. It was never that thing of like, okay, you can pivot, pick something else. Life is not over, right? And it's the same thing with marriage, where it was like, this is the time. This is the time you need to get married. This is the time that you need to find a rishta. This is the criteria that should be in this person. And you're so right, because it was never something that we talked about where our parents would sit down with us and be like, Aruj beta, tum mujhe bataoge tumhari dil ki khwahish kya hai? You know what I mean? Like it was never like that. That's what I'm saying. I'd be like, main aapko sab kuch bata deti. You know what I mean? Like we never
like, is it a trick? Where's the damn cameras?
That's what I'm saying. So like we grew up in this thing of like, but I just want to make my mom and dad so happy.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they're happy with me, because our parents and our moms especially had put all of their happiness into us. They didn't have another passion project. And this is not every mom, but like a lot of moms didn't have something else that they were thinking, well, this also makes me happy. I don't just have to, you know, my happiness is not solely based off of my children, you know? And so I think that's that type of mentality, the people pleasing thing, it was so heavily ingrained into us that now we struggle with it. Yeah. We have a hard time saying no to our parents, going through any, anything that our parents say. We have a hard time going against it and trying to stand on our own 2 feet. And sometimes you're even like, what am I doing something wrong by even saying no and like disrespecting them by going against their wishes? It's a very hard road to navigate even as an adult.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I wanted to ask, this is kind of like not a little tangent, rant, whatever. But I want to ask you, do you think that there are parents out there that hinder good rishtas for certain girls?
Like, do you think for their own kids, you mean?
Yeah. Like where you feel like maybe some of the parents have an expectation that's too high, but the kids don't really have that high of an expectation. And then they end up like losing out on seeing some really good rishtas.
I'm sure that there are, Ruj.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like people that share their stories online and they talk about how their relationships with their parents are so toxic and that their parents have done all these horrible things to them growing up. So I can 100% see some parents be that way. You know, I also think it's maybe because their mentality is just, it's like small-minded thinking. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That they don't want maybe the best for their kids. Maybe sometimes it's kind of one of those things where their child has acted out and was not the greatest listening, like you know what I mean, like adab karna, like you didn't listen to your parents with everything, so maybe it's almost like an angry way of parents being like, well, whatever. Or sometimes, you know what I think happens, your parents find out that you were dating someone, okay, and you tell your parents that this is who I like and this is who I want to be with, and immediately your parents' guard is up because it's a whole new world for them and they think you're the biggest bisharam of life, let's be real. And then for them it's like, oh shoot, we got to get you married to someone back home because what if you do end up with this person?
Right.
That stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then it's like, you just marrying any lalu. Like it doesn't even matter who he is
for real.
or who she is. You're just marrying anybody. So I think that does happen.
Yeah.
What is your thought on it?
I feel like it really does happen. I feel like there are a lot of parents out there who, and like to each their own, because parents want the best for their kids.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that they don't, but sometimes they have this crazy expectation that my daughter can only marry a doctor, engineer, lawyer.
Oh Lord.
Okay. And if those three are not walking in the door, we're not even gonna look anywhere else.
Consider
Anyone else. Right. And then it's like, but did you ask your daughter? Is that what she wants? Because let's say she is talking to someone. Let's say she's not dating someone, but let's say she's talking to someone and he is a mechanic, okay? Has a great business, you know, very well off, own car, own home, everything. Everything checks the boxes, okay? And it's everything she's looking for because she wants her own space. They get along. He's funny. Great dynamic between the two of them. And now she's trying to bring this up to her parents. How? Because we have been raised in home environments where you cannot deviate from the path that is given to you by your parents. How do you tell your parents that you want to marry somebody who's not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, but who's a mechanic? How do you even have that conversation?
I think that's so hard, right? But I also think the reason why they say doctor, lawyer, mechanic, like what is the reasoning behind it? For me, it still falls back to people pleasing. Because your daughter must have said, I'm not really interested in that. I think kids can say it. And like I would have said, that's not what I want.
Right.
I don't want to be with a doctor. No hate to the doctors. Y'all are saving lives out there. But I don't want to be with a doctor because he might not be home all the time. He's going to be like doing all these shifts at the hospital. Like I would rather have somebody that's more present, right? You say that and then you wonder why they're saying it. What is that status? It's a status thing, right? The doctor has status, gives your daughter status. The doctor has money. Your daughter gets money. I understand the financial stability part of it because it's super important, but it literally is about like a status thing, right? Or it's about them saying and like telling other people, my daughter or my son married a doctor, right?
And you know what, I feel like if we just go back for a second and we circle back to exactly what you just said, where I don't want to marry a doctor because he's going to be busy, and you want somebody whose schedule is more flexible and more available, whatever. That's a deeper conversation to be had with parents and children, because now you are understanding that the child wants somebody who's there for them in ways that maybe they did not feel anybody was there for them growing up.
100%. And that's what they say psychologically too, that like, because we have these trauma bonds with some of our parents, right? And not everyone, but like the ones that do, we end up marrying people who mimic either parent that we've had this trauma with or experienced this trauma with. So for example, if you lacked love from your dad, then you might pursue someone that might treat you in the same way.
Right.
Or whatever however it works, something similar to that. So I think it's so heavily tied into who you select as a person, which is why it comes back to the point that you raised and said, you know what, maybe our parents should have had better and deeper conversations with us about being like, hey, what exactly are you looking for? And not just the superficial surface level stuff. Sometimes it's not even the question. Sometimes it's like having that emotional connection with your child to actually understand who they are.
Yes.
Like, who is my child?
Exactly.
What do they like? What do they not like? What triggers them? What doesn't trigger them? What are they attracted to? Like, what are their hobbies? Like, actually getting involved in that. And you know what I feel is the struggle now? The struggle now is our generation, either some of us are in therapy, we've already done the work, we're realizing that we've gone through certain traumas, right? With our parents, unknowingly or knowingly. And now we're at a place where we're not only trying to fix ourselves, we're trying, if we have kids, to make sure we don't pass those traumas on to our kids. But then we're also trying to go back and repair relationships with our parents, or to teach them, how do I communicate with you? How do I help you take these baby steps with me? And it is so hard doing that. Okay.
So
like
hard.
sometimes you're just like, where do I even go?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something you're also kind of struggling with and navigating through?
I think I said this on the episode when we had, by the way, Sarah would be hella part of this conversation.
Sarah.
We took some tips, girl. We took some tips. But I remember in that episode, I did mention how I am learning how to like say no to my mom.
Yeah.
Remember?
I do.
And I did. I think I said something along the lines of like, you know, sometimes before when she used to call, I would just not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, I don't want to talk to her right now.
Totally.
And then I'd be guilt ridden.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning that I can just pick up the phone and just say, hey, either I'll be like, hey, mom, I'm busy. I'll call you back. Or I'd be like, hey, mom, I don't really want to talk right now. I'll call you, whatever. Especially when we have a little bit of a, you know, in between the two of us. And that seems to be working.
Yeah.
Right. But it took me years to do that because I have the people pleasing in me. So like the phone calls were always being answered.
Yeah.
The messages were always, she calls me, she needs something. I'm always there getting it. You know what I mean? That's also the role that I play in my family.
See, so that's the other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The roles we play in the family.
Yes.
So we have two perspectives here that are so different.
Yeah.
You are 100% the golden child. Okay. All right. I am the opposite end of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite end of that.
Yeah.
And my sister is a golden child. So sometimes when I see her, I see a lot of similarities with you guys.
Right.
Or like you guys are definitely the ones that like, you know, the moms will turn to you guys and be like, hey, this is the situation. Help sort it out. Right. And you guys take that on. You're great at it. But then I am the type where I am a lot more like, if I don't want to do this, I don't want to do it.
Right.
You know, and you can guilt me, but I'm not going to let you, even though inside I will feel guilty about it. And I want to balance it, but I have a hard time doing it because now I'm at a point where I'm like, no, like I do have to think about myself. I want to put myself first and say, no, this doesn't work for me. I love you, but this doesn't work for me. But sometimes I feel like it also takes you away from the family relationship a little bit as well, because you feel like, well, I'm not listening or I'm not being the people pleaser that I should be. And so you feel a little bit like, well, you feel guilty. You feel guilty for picking yourself. But then sometimes when I look at the other side of that spectrum, where if it was like the role of the golden child and I see, well, the golden child is like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this and I want this role and I'm taking on this role and I'm trying to like make everything work and make everything okay. That role is very heavy.
It is very heavy.
Because you also feel like, well, what if I do want to do something? What if I do want to do something and my parent is against it, right? Then what do I do?
Yeah.
Then how do I navigate that? Because I think of that and there's certain things that I still have the people pleasing in me. And so if I were to navigate that, I feel like even I would be like, what do I do, deer caught in headlights? I would be that way as well. But how do you navigate that? How do you even get out of that role? And would you even want to?
I don't think I can ever get out of it.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yo. I don't know if you can.
I'm being honest right now. Yeah, I think I will. I think this is the role. And I think I have accepted the fact that this is the role that I will play.
Yeah.
And it is heavy.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I would get frustrated because I'm like, I don't want to take this on. This is too much for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I realized that a little bit more after I became a mom, when I felt like I really just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, it's not fair. Why do I have to always do it?
Yeah.
Why am I always being called to do this? But also because I'm the quote unquote golden child.
Yeah.
I've always been asked to be the bigger person in every situation. And honestly, girl, that can get get frustrating.
I feel like that can get so frustrating.
Because how many times do I have to always take the high road? How many times do I always have to apologize? How many times do I have to let things go when something actually bothers me? When somebody really did me dirty?
That's so true, girl. I feel like it's not even in like the family dynamic. The people pleasing trickles into every relationship. Everything. Like, it's like work. Someone asks you to do something and you don't have the time and you're like, okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
then
like
it's like past 5 p.m. and you're sitting there on your laptop doing work emails because you just literally cannot say
you don't know how to say no.
Yeah.
And the thing is, our parents were the same, where they didn't know how to say no. Like, I don't know if your parents ever told you stories about like how they were with their parents, but like the stories that I would hear, it was always like, my dad would say sit and I would sit.
Yeah.
My dad would say stand and I would stand. There would never be a why. There would never be a chun or cha. Like, you don't do that. You obey, right? And I understand the respecting, because I think we're still that generation where we're like, we respect our elders and we have a lot of love for them. But again, we do want to address it where things can get tricky and things are hard. There should be a line for us too, because we are also navigating this life and trying to figure things out on our own too.
I just think communication can happen without disrespecting one another. And I'm a firm believer of that.
Yeah.
It's not just in like a parent and a child, even between siblings.
Yeah.
Even between like sisters, even between brothers, even between friends, even between spouses.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are some times where you see a couple, like let's say a husband and wife or whatever, and you're like, we've been outside, we've seen multiple couples like fight in public.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just kind of like, I look at that and I'm like, if I had anybody fight with me like that in public, I would be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, I can't have this conversation in public.
Yeah.
However, if there is something bothering you, if you can have clear communication, you can just find a way to voice what you have to say in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe it'll be our generation, maybe it'll be
generation after us. Yeah.
But I think there will be a point where children and parents can have open communication and be respectful.
Yeah.
Where the parents can respect the autonomy of their child, and the child will respect where the parent is coming from and understand that they are actually advising me to the best of their abilities for what they see is best for me. And I think it can work, but I think we still have a long way to go before we can get there.
I think you're right, but I also think that it is such a long game thing, because
it is. That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's not even going to be in our generation.
I don't even know if it would be
the generation after us.
I say that, and I think there's a lot of parents that can make those changes and like progress like that. But sometimes I'm like, sometimes having a conversation with your parent gets so hard because you're sitting there and you're like, I'm trying so hard to like keep my cool. I'm trying to explain it in like 15 different ways, contort everything and like understand you and understand me. But like, I'll explain it and I'll see a baby step of improvement. And then the next time it's like you're back 10 steps. And I know it's really frustrating, but it is like small micro shifts that you have to make in your life to like progress.
Yeah.
But Lord, oh God, I don't know. Zindagi, guzargi. It's rough out there.
You know so what else would always like get to me? And this is where the fear played in.
Yeah.
Is like, I can't handle when people get extremely angry.
See, okay,
I can't handle that emotion.
Okay.
So for me, if I'm trying to express something to my parents
and
immediately their first reaction is anger, I'm going to be a turtle and just go back in my shell and not want to have this conversation again. Hence why I didn't have a lot of conversations. Growing up, I would just like avoid at all costs just to make sure that they can look at me and be happy. So I always found that I didn't want to confront anybody or have a conversation with someone if I knew that the response was anger.
But don't you feel like that was the response for so many of us?
It was, but you know what, in hindsight now, I wish I had certain conversations, because I feel like that was just the kid in me thinking anger is going to be the initial response. What if it wasn't though?
What if it wasn't? But then you also, I think, as a kid, gauge it off of the experiences you've had previously. Of course.
And honestly, every time it'd be anything, I'd be like, oh my God, mom's gonna be so mad.
Right. That's
oh my God,
thing.
dad's gonna be so
or
mad.
Like, I can't tell them this. I can't tell them this. So like it leads into the next thing that we were going to talk about, which was because we could not share things with our parents and our parents never sat with us and had those conversations with us. We were so hyper independent, and we are so hyper independent where we always, even at that time, felt like something bad would happen. And it would be like, I'll call my sister, I'll call my friend, but I'm not telling my mom and dad. You know what I mean? But now as parents, you're like, yo, I want the first call my child makes should be me.
I know.
Because I got you. You know what I mean? But like back then, it's like, I ain't call my parents. I'm gonna get slapped up.
Yeah,
like I'm not calling my parents.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that to myself. But it's literally because we just grew up feeling like, okay, well, don't bother asking. And it's also because of the roles that our parents played. Where like one parent was probably working, the other was at home, and she was just, you know, as a mom, they were probably like going through so many things of their own. I don't even know if they had time to sit with you and like actually play with you.
No.
The way that we play with our kids.
Yeah.
And again, don't blame them, but like from the perspective of like, we didn't have that relationship, but then when the father figure comes into play, it's a very like authoritative, respectful, you know, it's a very like, it's not a very affectionate, but more of like a hands-off, yes, you're there, pyar type of relationship.
Gio is on TV, all the kids run upstairs.
Right. And so now it's all about like words of affirmation. Yeah. And I wish, I'm not going to lie, like I think I was definitely a child that wanted that. Right. Like I wish that somebody would be like, I love you so much, honey.
I know. I still can't say it to my parents.
You know, I think I started saying it now.
Yeah.
Like I said it to my dad. It's so crazy that I'm sharing this, but like the first time I said I love you to my dad was when he had cancer.
No way.
Swear to God, that was the first time I said it. And I said it because my sister was like, I think you should say it because I said it.
Oh.
And I was just like, I was scared.
Yeah.
Like I was scared to say it.
Yeah.
Not because my dad's like really nice person, but like it's never something I said.
Yeah.
And then when I said it, it was almost like, oh my God, if I say it, I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those. And then I said it, and then my dad was like, I love you too. It was beautiful. Like I was so glad that I said it. It warmed my heart. It actually brought me a lot of peace. But then after that, I've said it a lot to my mom, and like she does understand that we need it because we've had those conversations. But it is very weird for them.
Yeah.
You know what's weird?
So I've never said it to my dad.
Yeah.
And I don't say it to my mom, but I make my kids say it to my mom.
I love that.
And I feel like I'm indirectly like saying it to her through my kids.
But that is a great way of showing it, right?
I'll just be like, okay, like say I love you to Nano, and they'll be like, I love you, Nano.
Yeah.
And I know she gets so like,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, her heart just grows like 10
tenfold.
sizes because she loves it. And I still haven't gotten I haven't been able to say it to her wholeheartedly. I wish, one day I will be able to, but I just haven't. But I definitely use my kids as well.
I understand that. And I think sometimes like we do use our kids just to express ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, like
sometimes, Lord knows, okay? When I am so tired. When I'm
like
so
today
tired from work, okay? The long week. All right, I come home because obviously we all ran out of the house. Do you think anything in the house was done?
No.
So you come home, you bathe the kids, you feed the kids, then you got to clean up the nashta or the dinner from the night before because nobody touched those plates, okay? So you're in the kitchen like a mussy, you're cleaning all this up, okay? And then my mom calls me and she's like, Aruj beta kya kar rahi ho? Maine chai peene aana hai, maine bachon ko dekhna hai. And I low-key, I want to be like, oh my God, please, just not today, just not today. And then I'm like, okay, fine, come. And she comes, and then instantly, like, my kids don't bother me.
Yeah, right?
They're just with her.
Yeah.
And then I'm standing in the kitchen being like, okay, I could get 20 minutes and just clean all this right now. And then
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I know that she was in a place where she needed to see the kids.
Yeah.
I was in a place where I just needed somebody to get the kids off my back, right?
Yeah.
So that I could get all the other mundane chores done.
Yeah.
And it works out really well.
Yeah.
But honestly, I do have initial moments where I'm like, oh my God, like, do I even want to pick up the phone right now?
I get that.
Right?
But
I think let's keep this a judgment-free zone, people.
Yeah.
But this is literally the emotions that go through me in that moment.
It is. And I also think that sometimes with parents, it almost raises like the stress trigger.
Yeah.
That like, okay, my mom's coming. Is everything the way that it should be for her?
Yeah.
My mom is definitely the type of person like where she'd be like, oh, like do this like this or do that like that.
Yeah.
And you know, so you do feel a little bit like, okay. And it's also like, you want to make sure your parents are comfortable in your house. So there's that thing in your head too.
There's always that.
Yeah. So maybe that's another reason why we feel that, right? And but I do think like the positive of it is that when they do see our children, they now understand too.
Yeah.
That like the way that they are with our grandkids is probably how they should have been with us too.
So they say it too. Like,
they
I think
say
like a few people, like I think my popo and my mom, they've always said that they're like, oh, we never got a chance to like do this.
Yeah.
But it's like that whole thing that I told you with Kevin Hart, how he always talks about his relationship with his dad, and it was super toxic. And he's like, I never want to be that man.
Yeah.
And now that his dad is coming back into his life, he's just like, I just want you to be a good grandparent.
Yeah.
Because that to me will sort of repair the toxic relationship I had with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
You know,
if you're good to my kids,
If
right?
you're good to my kids.
Yeah. And I think like that's like the positive aspect of it, where like we see our parents kind of coming around or taking those baby steps, but we still have such a long way to go and it's very, very overwhelming. But then there's also parents that you could talk to them till your voice is gone and they are just not going to listen.
Yep.
They're not going to listen. They're not going to be supportive. They're not going to be there for you. They have caused a lot of trauma in their children's lives. And it's important to acknowledge that too. Like there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, you know, like, why are you hating on parents? I don't think that's what it is. I think we have to acknowledge that everyone's relationship is so different and unique. And some people have genuinely suffered genuine trauma at the hands of their parents, which is very sad.
Yeah.
And their struggle is a real struggle. And they might even have to cut those relationships off. And it's not easy to do that when you are honestly attached and bonded to this person. Like this person is your mother.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have to remember, like, every person on this planet has an ego.
Yeah.
And every person on this planet wants to be right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that parent-child power dynamic,
Yeah.
there are many parents that will take that to an extreme.
I think so
where
too.
they're like, no matter what you say, I am right.
Yeah.
My home, my rules.
My rules. Exactly.
And there's no way that you can deviate from that.
Yeah.
And this is where kids will struggle. And like, I'm not going to say that it's gone, because I know that there are high school kids and there are middle school kids that are struggling with this.
Yeah.
Because we're educators, we're teachers. They come and talk to us.
Yeah,
We know
exactly.
If they're like, no, miss, don't call my mom.
Yeah.
Don't tell my mom this. Don't tell my dad this. Or like, it would be like silly things like, oh, I can't go on a basketball tournament because I'm not going to get permission, because it's like an all day thing. And, you know, and it's like, it really gets to me, because it's like, that's the stuff I used to say when I was in high school. Why are you guys saying it? But you guys are still saying it.
Yeah.
Because it's still there.
It's still there. It's still there. It's so prominent. And I feel like it really does build a lot of resentments. Like it really, really does. So like, I also think parents need to pick their battles too, right? Like if your child is in a damn group project, let them be in a damn group project. Like it's a group project for school. It's not like you're going to a strip club. You know what I'm saying?
I had a student.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what you want to be when you grow up. You know? And they were thinking about like what degrees they want to achieve and what schools they want to apply to and whatever. We're having a good open conversation. Like the kids were just top tier. Like, I want to do this and I want to dismantle this and I want, you know, it was amazing. It was a great conversation. And she said, oh, I want to do a degree I want to get my CPA. So like her accounting degree. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like good for you. Go ahead. And she had really good math skills. She was great at marketing. So I was like, this is like your era, right?
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, do you know like maybe where you want to work or like where you want to take this? What would you do with it? And she was like, no, I think I'm just going to get my degree. And I don't think women need to study any further. And I was just literally, when I tell you the whole classroom went silent, they're just like, what?
Oh my God.
And like when you're speaking in an environment with like really high level IB students, they're like, keep going.
Yeah.
What are you doing next? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because honestly, some of these high school students are so motivated.
Love
it's beautiful. But she just said, yeah, no. And then one of the girls was like, so like you wouldn't work? And she's like, maybe I'd work, but you know, if I find a life partner, then I just want to get married because my mom says that that's the right age to get married. And I just looked at her and I was like, girl, you don't even see your potential.
Honest to God.
Like I literally wanted to, and I remember I pulled her to the side and I was like, you know, maybe you, me and your mom can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I looked at her, I was like, I think I've been saying this so much on the podcast and I will say it till you know, the end of time.
Yeah.
that our community has too much talent.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I say it to the high school kids.
Yeah.
I say it to all you guys who come and say what's up to me. Like, I'll say it to you too. We have so much talent. We are so smart. We are so creative. We're so innovative. Like, we need to do more. And we need to fill up spaces that we are not filling up. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
And so I pulled her to the side and she was like, no. She's like, no, Miss Sultan, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I am content with that is the way that these things happen in my family. And then I was like, that's the way things happen in your family, but is that the way you want it to happen?
Yeah.
Because eventually you will be starting your own family. So is this something you'd want to pass on?
Yeah.
Or, where are we going with this?
But like, do you even think that they would have the mindset to even consider that? Because at that age, you're just like, I'm gonna please my parents.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you don't think about what you're saying is the right thing, but like, you don't think of it that way at that age.
And I was just trying to like plant some seeds.
Yeah, but good.
Like,
you planted them.
Yeah, if you're not gonna talk to your mom, at least do a little bit of
Water the
inception.
seeds. Water the seeds. You got to do that.
You know that inception, the dream in a dream, dream in a dream.
Dream in a dream. Facts.
So I was like, I don't know, maybe the conversation went through to her or not. This was like a couple months ago.
Something to think about though, right?
To think about, because it's like, yes, your family has been doing things a certain way for a very long time. Like, for example, if I have the role of being that golden child in my family, do I really want my middle son to have that?
Right.
Do I really want anybody in my family to have that?
Yeah.
Or do I want them to be a little bit equal and great in their own way?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Am I only going to call my youngest son or my oldest son or my middle son for certain things? Why would I put that pressure? Because it's pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, girl.
And I don't know if I want to put that kind of pressure on the kids.
I think it is a lot. It weighs very heavy on children. Like, it's like the smallest thing sometimes that you say that kids will hold on to, you know? And like, you don't know how certain things will impact them. But I mean, it's great that we at least can say, okay, well, this is something that we want to change, right? Because even saying it sometimes is like, okay, at least we have the mindset to acknowledge and say like, okay, I'm not going to be like this. I'm going to change it. I think like with that situation that you're saying, it's like, it makes me very sad, because I think what happens is, first of all, yes, absolutely, you limit your potential. You limit your potential. You're just like, whatever, this is my life. But you know, when you grow older and you do find a life partner, right? You really do realize that like, hey, my happiness is not just my partner. Like, I got to find happiness in something else. And then at that time you're backtracking, but then you're also like, why did my parents do this?
Exactly.
And that's where the resentments come in. And let's say, you know, there's been so many people, girl, like, you know, that have DM'd us and have said, yeah, we got into relationships, and yeah, you know what? Like, this is just the way it is now. You know, we're not happy, but this is just the way it is. Because if we ever say that like, oh, well, you know, it's not working out, our parents, they're not going to approve. So you're, you know, as children, you're kind of sitting there because you're still kind of like, well, I want to please my parents and the rest of society. And what will my extended family say if something bad ever happens? What will they say if I say, hey, you know what? I'm married, but I want to go back and become a doctor or a career woman? What will they say? But I think at some point we do have to break that cycle and actually pick yourself. I don't think it's selfish to pick yourself. I think you can pick yourself, because if you pick yourself, I think you'll be better in so many other aspects of your life, whether it be parenting, whether it be being a child, being your parent's child. You have to at some point realize your potential and worth. It's sad.
I was listening to Chai Talk, the podcast with Waji.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Mama G?
Yeah.
Listen, Mama G, we want you on the podcast.
Yes,
Let's
Mama G,
roll
please.
through to Toronto, okay?
Please, we really like you.
Don't bring Waji. You just come by yourself. And he had his mom on the show, and he was just kind of like asking her, like, Mom, you need to get a hobby, and you need to get a hobby without your kids.
Yeah.
Right? And it was so crazy to like see his mom trying to wrap her head around that.
Yeah.
Because he was like, Mom, just go on a walk. And she's like, I don't want to go on a walk. You come with me.
Yeah.
All I want is 2 hours of your time in the day. And honestly, like, literally every mom says that.
Yeah.
Because my mom will say that too, like, just come and spend time with me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I totally get it. I wish I had the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are certain things, like, I remember I had to push my mom to get her to be confident enough to go on walks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now she can go on walks by herself, but honestly, in the beginning, it wasn't something that came easy to her.
Yeah, it's daunting, right?
It's daunting, and it's like, it's not like us. If I go on a run, my AirPods are on.
Yeah.
You know, Drake menu keh raha hai, bhaag tu daud, okay? Versus like my mom doesn't have any entertainment.
Yeah.
She literally holds her cell phone and just goes on a walk.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
even to me, sometimes I look at that, I was like, wow, that's powerful because I
Yeah.
could never do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But I get it too because he was just talking to her on the podcast. Like it's so important for moms to have hobbies outside of their children because when you dedicate your whole life, your whole time, success and happiness in them, what do you do now when you are experiencing that empty nest?
That's exactly what we were talking about, where it's like parents have put all of their happiness onto their children. My children are my happiness. They are the source of my happiness. And then when your child goes like this way, then you're like, wait a second. You're disgracing me. You know what I mean? And then you put all this pressure on your child to like comply through fear or through guilt or whatever you're doing. And then your children develop these traumas and trauma bonds to you that they can't do anything without pleasing you. And you are also being that parent that's putting all this pressure on your children that if you don't please me, then I'm not going to show you my love and affection, whether it be like, oh, tum itni achhi bachi ho, or like, you know, like talking about you in a good way to their friends or family or whoever it is. And the kids are like, please, mom, give us positive reinforcement, give us positive reinforcement. But we're not able to back away from that sometimes because we feel like our parents' happiness is us.
Right.
That's it. Like,
and you know what it is? Even if your kids don't deviate,
yeah.
Let's say you've got exactly what you want in every kid. They listen to you and everything, okay? But then they get married and then they're out of the house. Now, what those parents don't realize is now you are going to put pressure on them while they are also trying to navigate their newly married home. Okay. So it's like now I have to uphold my relationships with my in-laws.
Yeah.
Now I have to please my husband. Now I have to make a home. Now I have to also work and pay bills, which I may not have had to do when I was living with my parents. But also now my mom is going to pressure me to come and see her every weekend.
Or let's flip it. What if it's not a girl? What if it's a boy and he has this relationship with his mom? He then becomes a guy that is like trauma bonded to his mom and is like, oh no, but mom, I need you to help me in everything because I've listened to you my whole life and now I can't make a decision without asking you. This applies to girls and it applies to boys. It's either you become that child that is like, okay, well, I'm trying to navigate this, but I still got to please my mom in that way. Or you're such a sheltered child that you're like, I can't even make the most like basic decision without my mom or dad's approval or their input into everything in my life. And how that wrecks future relationships, everybody knows. Everybody knows. So this is, I think, where everyone talks about breaking that trauma, that cycle, and trying to change it for our kids. But it is so damn hard.
It is.
And this is where the main struggle comes into play. Like why we even have these podcasts, because it's so relatable to so many people. So many people have gone through the same experiences. It's funny too, because we gotta laugh through the trauma here, fam. Like we gotta laugh through it all. But it's funny, but it's also sad because there's so many people that relate to the exact same damn thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's generational. And I think that's what blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people who are like, we're not moms, but we totally relate to this podcast. And it's because all of the stuff that we grew up with, people are going through it now or have gone through it before. The older generation is listening to us too.
Absolutely.
And they know that this is what's up because they went through it too.
Exactly. And they've went through it. And I feel like they probably had it like harder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's us. And then we still feel like it's hard for us. And maybe the generation after us will be like, it's hard, but it's not like that. So I do think it gets better, or it is slightly getting better. But then in certain cases, it doesn't get better. And it just continues because that's just the easier way. Like, don't ruffle any feathers and continue on the path that you're going on because that's just the easy path to take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think it's also scary when you hear about kids. Like we had a glimpse of it growing up where it would be like, I'm not allowed to wear like sleeveless. So you wear a cardigan over your shirt and then you go to school and you take your cardigan off and you're wearing sleeveless around the school.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to go home, you put it back on and you go home.
Yeah.
Or you don't wear any makeup. You have a little makeup bag. Then you go in the bathroom, you put some makeup on and then you come, take it off and then you go home. Right. But now what really scares me is with the addition of technology. And if you don't have that, if you still have that fear with your parents, you could be voicing all of that online. 100%. Or finding like I don't even know how to say it. Like, when you just create a digital version of you online, which is not who you are as a person, just so you can be who you want to be in a virtual space because you are not able to be that person in reality.
And express yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that to me is very scary as a parent, but also as an individual, like, and as a daughter, right? Because like, I would hate to feel like I live in a family where I'm not accepted for who I am. I'm not accepted for what I want to do. I can't voice anything. I am just trapped in restrictions of the home. So now I'm going to find a different way to express myself. And then honestly, the internet can also be a scary place.
Such a scary place.
Especially if you're younger and you don't really know like how to we don't even know how to navigate it. I'm acting like we're experts. We're not. Okay. And a lot of the things out there are really scary. But if you end up finding the void that you have, if you find it in a digital world, that scares me.
That is scary because you can find it in so many different ways, right? And the other thing is like that digital world is evolving at such a quick pace with AI and who knows what's going to come up next, right? So a lot of the times, like even when we were younger, you would hear about like girls that would just go online and they would find people that they would connect with because they never got that love at home.
Yeah.
And like exactly to your point, like finding that online or finding that in whatever other avenues. Sometimes you turn to like different vices because that fulfills a void in your life, right? So it is really scary because I think as parents, I understand the need to protect, the need to like shelter, but I also think as parents, and now that we're both in it, we also have a different perspective where we're like, we see the need to shelter and protect, but we can't shelter and protect and overprotect and helicopter our children, because if we do it that route, then we can also see how that could go wrong because we've been there. You know what I mean? Like we've experienced it, and maybe not to like some crazy degree, but like we've seen it. We've had friends of friends that we've seen these things happen to, and you want to try to avoid it as much as possible. So I do think that like when it comes to your children, you do have to kind of let them be who they are. If they are not, if they want to pursue a career in something, why are we hindering them from pursuing something that they're passionate about? Why are we stopping them? Or why are we pressuring them when they say, no, I don't want to marry this guy? Why are we doing that? Why are we forcing them to get married at like 18, 19 if they don't want to? Like you have to take a step back and really figure out what is your reasoning behind it? Like what is the reason? Why do you need them to be married? I understand why you might want that because of the biological clock and stuff, but is it also the need that you need them to feel you need somebody to come into their life so that burden in your life is gone and you don't have to worry about your child anymore, so that they weren't allowed to live their life at your house, so at least they can go and live their life at their partner's house now, right? Which is a lot of the things that we heard from our parents, like, okay, you want to do this after you get married.
Right? It was always that.
So like even things like that, it's just something that I think we have to find a better balance. We have to be better at navigating the relationship with our kids, because this is not that world that it was back in our parents' time. It's just completely different.
And also, like, we were never allowed to ask why. And now if you ask why and you get the response of it is what it is, like
that's not good enough.
Not just that, like somebody will find an answer.
Somebody will find an answer.
Like if it is what it is, well, you know what? Let me actually find out why you don't want me to have water after watermelon.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Google mera dost hai. Okay?
Yeah, and this generation is so savvy. Like even our kids. Okay, how many times has your kid been like, "Why, mom?" And you're like, "Because," and they're just like, "But that doesn't really make sense, mom." Like the way. The way they put you in your place. Yeah, for real. It's wild out there, girl. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild.
All right, guys. On that note, we will be ending the episode. So it's a bit of a long one.
It's a bit of a long one. You guys want extra
Happy
time.
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We always post a question on our social media. You can come and check it out. It's either a poll or a question. If you guys have any topic ideas, make sure to DM us and let us know. We always write them down and save them for future episodes. We are on Apple Podcast and Spotify, so make sure you guys follow us there and give us that 5-star rating. It does wonders. And then also remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We truly appreciate it. Comment, like, follow us on all of our social media listed below, and we will see you guys next time.